So this is the lighting studio. It's one of the more dangerous places in the photo media arts workshop, and we have to make sure that we treat it with care and respect. There are a lot of hazards in here. We have things hanging above us. We've got to make sure all of our lights and cables and cameras are secure. There's lots of tripping hazards. Again, cables, ladders. It can be quite dark inside there. So you've got to be aware of that at all times. There's lots of heat coming from lights. So when you're handling lights that have been on, they're always going to be very hot. Also, you've got electricity and also blinding light from strobes. So there are a lot of things to be mindful of. And if we can be aware of these things, we can keep each other safe. Also, we want to make sure that anytime we use the lighting studio, we put everything back away neatly, even if it wasn't neat when we found it, so that we can always find things, because things go missing all the time, and we're a team, and we want to try and make this an efficient and safe space. Yeah. So whenever you bring in models, talent, to the studio, you need to make sure that they understand the hazards of the studio and also get them to sign in here. So in the front we've got the statements that they just need to have a quick look at and before they sign. And you also need to make them aware of where the emergency exits are. So let's go have a look. So in here we've got, this is the lighting studio. Our backdrops are over here. This is where all the magic happens. We've got a white backdrop and a black velvet backdrop. We've also got other colours that, if you really want, you can get Jason to come and help you install. And they've got little leads on the side that will help you pull them up and down. Up here we have a pantograph mechanism, which is how we suspend all of our lights above us. And also the cables go up on the roof as well, and that'll keep everyone safe from tripping on the things. We keep our ladders. There's one that's usually unchained that we can use frequently, but we just want to make sure when we're done we keep to the side. There's one that's always chained up over here as well. Over here we've got our cupboards, which have a lot of things. It can get a bit out of hand. But we want to try and keep it as tidy as possible. We keep our lights up here. We keep our little loose things like sinks and little different cables of sorts down here. Over here we've got light modifiers and some power cords. And on top of the cupboards we also have our soft boxes as well. So that's the general gist of the studio and where things are. Yeah. So our ladders have a lot of things that you need to be aware of. It seems like a simple thing, but to keep everyone safe, let's go over it all. So as you can see, it's quite tall. You need to be aware when you're moving it around of what's above you. It has wheels on the bottom, so if you just pick it up and pull it, it will slide. And these wheels, when you put weight on it, they will retract so that you can stand on it. And when you climb, you want to make sure that it's that the wheels are going down, so that as soon as you put your weight on the ladder, it's not going to slide. Also, a World Health Safety rule is you've got to have 3 points of contact at all times. So 2 feet and a hand on the ladder, and you can reach and do the stuff with the other hand. And just make sure you're not leaning as well, because that leaning or stretching, we don't want the ladder to tip over. And that's basically it. So this is the pantograph. As you can see, it's got a pulley inside of here, and it can go up and down. It can also go on the tracks above, left and right, and back and forward. It can move around like this. To make it go up and down, well, it'll go up without you having to press anything. to make it go down, there's a release here, and you have to press it and push it up before you can pull it down. So if you want to come and have a close look, usually they've got some pink texture on them or something so you can see them better. You just push it in, pull it up a little bit, and then pull it down. Yeah. So I'm just going to put a light up to show you how to attach it securely. So these are called spigots. On here we have a quick release for our spigot, which is this button on the other side here. What you do is you just press it in, and then we insert this and release it, and it'll click back out once it's secure. Then if you want to come back around the other side here, we've got a screw up here which will fasten into the spigot, and then this one should already be tight because that's where the spigot is attached to the camera. Then after that, we've got this little safety wire here, which we're going to attach through the back here and back onto there. And then that's nice and secure. So here we've got a dish. This just protects the fragile part of the light and directs the light as well. I'm just going to take that off and replace it with the softbox. So to do that, I'm just going to turn the collar around back to line up with the white line and turn this anti-clockwise, and off it comes. And as you can see, these have 2 rivets which lock into the pins which are underneath the white lines here on the light. So I'm just going to pop that on like this and line it up and twist it, and then turn the collar back the other way, and it will be nice and secure. So here I've got a quick release plate. On the bottom you can see it's got a big screw and then a big plastic sort of other turning plate. So the big screw, what we do is we pop this on with the flat side, one of the flat side facing the lens, and then I turn the big screw finger tight and before tightening it the rest of the way with the plastic one, as tight as it'll go. And that'll make sure that it's not slipping at all on the camera. Then, this is our lighting stand. At the back here we've got a release. You just push this and pull that one back. And what we'll do is we pop the front end of this in first and sit the back end down, and it will slip into place and lock nice and tight. And then that's nice and secure. To use the backdrops, we're just going to pull the chain gently down on the side. It has a tendency to pop off, so please just be gentle and patient with it. So with the velvet one, you might need to pull it down a little bit to get a nice clean spot to shoot on, but you don't need to pull it out that far. You can always move your lights closer to the backdrop instead of pulling it out such a long way and ruining more of it. The more you pull out, the more people are walking on, the more it's probably going to get trashed. So please be careful with these backdrops. They're expensive, and depending on what you're shooting on them, they can get messy and dirty pretty easily. So just treat them with respect. Yeah. And yeah, same deal, when you put it away, just nice and gentle back up, be patient. Sometimes if you pull the velvet one back up too fast, it creates static electricity and makes clicking sparks and stuff. So just keep that in mind as well. So I've got a power cable out of the cupboard, and just to give the lights power, this one goes in the back here. I'll just turn it off. Yep, make sure it's off before I go plug it in. And using the ladder, I'm just gonna put a little twist in that before plugging it in so that it doesn't fall out and drop on anyone's head. Just like that. And then you've got power. Yeah, and, oh, sorry. As soon as you turn these lights on, they get very hot. So if you need to pack these down afterwards, you're going to need to use gloves. And if you need to change light modifiers during a shoot, you're going to have to use gloves as well because they heat up too. These lights are strobes. They have a modeling light, as you can see, which is a constant light, which is on all the time. And that's just going to be an indicator of how the light is going to fall across your model when the strobe goes off. So this light isn't actually what's going to be lighting your image, it's the strobe. On the back here, you can see the power, the strength of the strobe light currently, and that's controlled by these two arrows here. I can turn it up and down here. Also, there's a different control of the modeling light here, so I can turn it up and down also. If the model doesn't want to be blinded by the same power of light that your strobe is at, you can turn it right down. As you can see, it's almost off. Or you can turn it off completely. It's up to you. Here we've got some buttons. This one here is just the noise you heard earlier. It is the cycling noise, so you can turn that on and off to let you know when the flash is ready to fire again. Here we've got the slave mode button, and that, if you press this, it'll put the light into a mode where if it detects firing of another light, it also will fire. And this is just the flash test button, which will fire off the flash as it is currently and discharge. As you can see, the front of these lights are all glass and very fragile. So when you put them away, it's best to store them with a dish on to protect this. And don't ever handle it by the glass because it could be hot. It's most definitely fragile. It's just safer to always handle lights by plastic. So here I've got some light modifiers. This one is really standard. It's just the dish that's going to protect your light and give it some direction so it doesn't spill everywhere. Here I've got, this is a snoot. It makes a really direct small light source so you can selectively light up just a model's face or perhaps just the top of their hair from behind. This is a grid light. It goes inside the dish. And this one is called barn doors. They also just create direction. You can adjust them depending on where you have it. You can open up one side or close one side. At the moment, it's also got a grid light in it. And where that is also can hold coloured filters as well. And this is one you'll see a lot as well. It's called a softbox, and it makes a really big light source that's soft and diffused. Now that we've got our light plugged in, we have to sync it with our camera. How we're going to do that is we have a thing called a light sync. So this one has a hot shoe that'll go directly on top of our camera, and this is the receiver, which will go on the back of our light. So I'll just turn the light around and pop it on the back of the camera. Something goes in there just like that. And on the camera, the hot shoe just slides on top like so, and you twist it on. And I can test that it's working by pressing this button here. And there we go, we're all synced up. If you're taking photos and you're getting black banding across your images, it's because your shutter speed is too fast and your shutter's closing before the light actually is finished firing. So you'll need to turn that shutter speed down probably below 125 or so, and then that'll stop that. One more thing about the light sync. To get it working, you've got an on-off switch here on the side. If you wanted to use the manual cable, you can plug the cable in here and the other end into the light, just like you would the receiver. Here also, if you've got receivers in all of your lights, you can make groups out of them and change the strength of them using this without even having to touch the light itself, which is pretty handy. The easiest way to move your lights around the studio without yanking them and probably wrecking things is to use this hook. You can just catch it up here and pull this along. You can also move the top crossbars, get things out of your way. But just always be aware of what's going on above you and around you, because things change pretty quickly around here. So that's most of everything you'll need to get started in here. Just remember 2 guidelines to live by in here is make sure everything is secure. That way we won't have things falling on people's heads, those sort of accidents. Also, don't force anything, be gentle and patient. There's always a reason why something doesn't move some way, because something else needs to be loosened up. Just be patient and aware and find the reason for why something isn't moving. Don't just force it. Other safety things you need to be aware of is that you always need 3 people working in here whenever you're in here. If you book it outside of class times using the booking system, make sure you have 3 people in here. Also, you'll need to have completed the General School of Art induction as well to be able to use this facility. So just remember to be safe and have fun, guys. Thanks.